Opening, Mr. Donovan Bradley. What was it like to relocate to the Atlantic Station? Don read aloud as he stared at the words on the pod. He looked up from the screen and stared at his editor. Really? That's the question you want me to ask? Nancy shrugged and motioned back to him. If you don't like it, I'll assign it to someone else, she said sternly. No, I like it. I'll do it, Don retorted, not wanting to miss out on the opportunity. He was still new to the Atlantia Journal and would take any chance he could to write a real piece. It's just, before you finish that sentence, Dawn, why don't you sit down? Nancy interrupted. She straightened out her long, tight white skirt and sat down on the side of her desk. She leaned down over the young man as he took a seat. You should know that there are dozens of other straight-out-of-college applicants I could have chosen over you. I still have their information on file. A lot of people would kill for this job. Don't make me wish I'd chosen someone else. No, it's a great story. I'll do it, Don replied. He gulped and nervously shifted in the chair. As a straight-out-of-college hire himself, he knew how difficult it was to land this job in the first place. He was not about to put himself in that situation again. It's been 100 years since the descent, Nancy continued. I don't need to remind you how significant that is. The centennial celebration is important. As bland as you might find the topic, I need you to take this seriously. It's a story we have to have. Yes, I know, Don said, nodding his head. I'm sorry I said anything. Good. How long do you want the story to be? I want it to be an extended piece. I'm thinking around 5,000 words. 5,000 words, Don replied in a tone of surprise. On one question? There's a lot to talk about there. Yes, but 5,000 words worth to talk about? Look, Don, we already went over this. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it. No, I'll do it. Don held his hands in the air defensively. I'm sorry. I should stop saying anything. Yes, I'll do it. 5,000 words, coming right up. Nancy was quiet for a moment as she eyed up the young man. She smirked and shook her head. If I'm being frank with you, Don, you don't sound very grateful. I'm sorry if it's not what you want to do, but believe me, I've seen your type before. I'm guessing in college you were taught that you could do whatever you wanted when you graduated. You had dreams of writing big stories about politics or economics or business that affected everyone here in the station. But Don, that's just not what you're going to get at this age. You're a great writer, and that's why I hired you. But you need to learn how to be a journalist before you can break those kinds of stories. Don silently nodded his head back to Nancy. There was nothing more that needed to be said. Now, get out there, Nancy said, waving to the door. You have a story to write. Monroe Greenwood, the oldest living person in the Atlantic Station, the 106-year-old woman sat in a thick chair with a cane resting by her side. She was garbed in a tan cardigan and green pants. Her clean white hair hung just past her ears. Don reluctantly approached her, instinctively holding his breath to avoid catching a waft of that old woman's scent. He did not know much about her other than she was the only remaining survivor of the descent, but he had his assumptions. He imagined she was cranky, bad with computers, probably grieving over the death of her ex-husband or some long-lost lover. That's the way people were in her generation, after all. Oh Lord, beyond both seas, she's probably going to ramble on, he thought. Monroe smiled and reached out her hand as Dawn came close. She naturally shook it. Her skin felt cold and fragile, as if it were about to tear. You must be Donovan, she greeted in slow words. Yes, that's me, Donovan Bradley. But you can just call me Dawn, he replied, taking a seat directly across from her. Donovan, that's a nice name. You can call me Monroe, she replied with a smile. Don took out his personal pod and waved his hand before it, waking it up. You look like a young man, she said, motioning to him. How old are you, son? I'm 22, he answered. Wow, 22. Oh gosh, those were the days, she said, staring off in the distance as if in deep reflection. Don could already tell this was going to be a long day. He was not going to enjoy this. The young man sighed as he loaded up a blank page on his pod. What's wrong? Monroe asked. What? You sighed. Are you tired? No, it's not that. Sorry, Don replied. Ah, I know. Let me guess. You'd rather write about something else, wouldn't you? She asked. Don shrugged. He wasn't about to lie to this woman. The centennial celebration is a big deal. The Atlantia Journal wants a story on it. But you? I would rather write a piece about something else, yes, he admitted. Ah, I see. Monroe shifted in her chair. What would you rather write about? I don't know, Dawn replied. Current events, I guess? I'd rather write on stories that affect us in the here and now, not stories that look to the past. Ah, but that's where you're wrong, Dawn. We can learn a lot from the past, from what's come before, especially where the descent is concerned. You see, the descent taught me a lot about humanity and our amazing ability to adapt. I think it's a story as relevant as ever. You think so? Dawn asked. I do. Absolutely, I do, she replied. Well, I certainly hope so, Dawn said. He adjusted in the chair until he found a comfortable position and looked up from his pod. So, shall we begin? Let's begin, Monroe responded with a smile. First of all, thank you for agreeing to speak with the Atlantia today. We really appreciate you spending the time and effort to talk with me. The pleasure is all mine. I love to tell my tale. Wonderful. Well, I'll cut right to it. The big question today is, what is it like to relocate to the Atlantic Station?